This is the award-winning Travel Planners Radio Show with Kevin and Sue McCarthy, and they are definitely human.
The Chicago Travel and Adventure Show well underway. Kind of seems like we've met an old friend here because he fixed us a little bite to eat yesterday, and it was very good. Chef Nir from Israel. And Guy, welcome to the Travel Planners Show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and welcome to our Israeli booth.
We were talking about food, and before the interview started, we've been to Israel twice, and as you can tell, I've never passed up a dinner table. I love the food. Everything is so fresh. We were talking with a young lady from El Al yesterday. I said, I remember as a kid, would go to my grandparents' house, and they had a little grape arbor in the back with some Concord grapes, and you'd go out there as a kid and pick them, and you had to pull them off real carefully or the skins would come off. They were so juicy and sweet, and tomatoes actually tasted like tomatoes instead of cardboard. That's the kind of produce and tastes and things that I've experienced in Israel. How do you do that in the middle of the desert?
I think that's the magic about Israel. And what you'll find out that the more water you give to a plant or any produce, the worse it gets. So it doesn't really need that much of water. It needs time and care and just good conditions and good soil, which Israel definitely has.
I mean, you can drive from one end of the country to the other in about 8 hours, and you will see everything from mountains to what looks like Missouri and Kansas, the agricultural plains, to literally the desert. But even in the desert, it's my understanding that you recycle more than 90% of the water. We saw beautiful orchards and vineyards and things in the middle of the desert next to, for example, an army base where they recycle the water. It's amazing.
Yes, exactly. And if you go around, and as we will take you next time you'll visit, it will be a lot of farm to table. They grow from vineyards, as you mentioned, and you'll have wineries up north using vineyards down south to mix it in and blend it with the produce they have from the Golan Heights and then make the best wines that you can think of. So, yeah.
I'm not going to argue that.
We did get the treat to go to one of the beer breweries as well as going to one of the wineries in the northern part of Israel on our last trip. Very nice, both of them.
You are part of Puzzle Israel, and I think that describes Israel, particularly for most Americans. If it's not a puzzle, it's an enigma because we just don't get it, and it's such an amazing place. Guy, our other chef here, welcome. Why don't we understand Israel?
First of all, you need to understand that Israel has something very unique that, unfortunately, most of our friends in the industry travel doesn't feel as we feel. We want to show Israel, which means from a very local perspective. We grew up in the Galilee in Israel. As a young, I never felt that there is tourists in Israel. Back 5-6 years ago, I moved to Tel Aviv. And it was the first time I actually saw tourists. So when we founded the company, we put as a goal to bring people to the places that less traveled in Israel. We started to bring them to the place we grew up, to meet the local people that lived in the periphery. And we found that it brings different perspective for them.
No question. And that's something we always try to do is, yes, you want to see the main tourist things, but get out and visit with people. That's when you find out that everybody gets up in the morning and goes to work and comes home and they want something better for their kids. And never mind the politics of anything, one side or the other. When you meet people, you find out that the smile is a universal language, and then it's time to eat. And when you sit down to dinner, that's a time to go one-on-one with everyone. So as Puzzle Israel, what is it that you do? You work with other chefs from other countries, or you invite tourists to experience the cuisine of Israel?
I think you answered both, because Israel, and I'll go back to the puzzle, and putting the pieces together for you is what Puzzle Israel came to do. Listening to our clients or whoever wants to come to visit Israel, being that local person that they now know, and that's why we come and we cook and we meet them in this booth, and meeting thousands of people a year face to face made it possible to cook for them, feed them, and then when they come to Israel, they know someone they feel a little bit close to ask for help, to ask for guidance. Oh, I'm coming with my daughter, I want to see this and this and this, I'm coming to visit family, what else can I do? Because I'm tired visiting my grandmother and I want to see a bit of Israel. So we put that together in a package kind of a thing. You're coming for a week or 10 days, and we'll help you meet the locals on the Golan Heights or down in the desert. As you mentioned, the Ramon Crater is one of the magnificent natural resources Israel has, but nobody knows that because you don't have the local guy to help you out. So give us a call, and then we are there to help. That's our mission.
And I can tell you, if you want a guide, Ike Koren is the best guide we have ever had. He's amazing. And besides that, he loves oldies rock and roll.
And actually, his brother is a guide down at Ramon Crater, too. He took us in a Jeep and up through the top of it and down the trails. Great time there.
We were down at the bottom. And think the Grand Canyon and then add some to it, to our listeners. At the bottom, we were actually standing on the mantle of the earth. I mean, that's how deep it goes. I'm going to pose, I guess, what I think is probably the impossible question to Guy. What is Israeli cuisine? How will we know it?
It's a tricky question, I will say.
I told you I was going to ask you the tough question.
Yeah, I know, always. I will probably say sabich. Sabich it's a cuisine that we mix from fried eggplant, eggs, tomatoes, some secret spices, parsley, all together in a pita bread, and you cannot find that anywhere else in the world. So that probably will be the only Israeli secret cuisine we have that not everyone know.
And besides that, with virtually every nation in the world has immigrants that have come to Israel. And with them, they bring their traditions and their food, and it kind of gets mixed up and stuff. But I've had one of my best Russian meals in Tel Aviv. We were in Caesarea up on the north coast by Akko, and an amazing fish. I mean, you have Mediterranean cuisine, you have European, you have Eastern cuisines, and the spices on top of all of the fresh foods. Wow.
Yes, and as you mentioned all these, it's the melting pot of the Middle East. Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or wherever you choose. You have an Israeli like me who grew up in my grandmother's kitchen. She came from Tripoli. My dad came from Poland. Everything came together, and we don't eat only gefilte fish. We eat many kinds of food every Passover. And our Passover dinner will have 5 different cultures on that table because all of it comes together in Israel. You'll walk through the market of Israel, and it's market to table. And Israel brings that new thing to the world, I think, and you'll find it coming more and more in other countries with Israeli chefs coming to New York and bringing the Israeli food and culture and that mix of cultures onto one table, giving you to taste from that maybe 10 or even 15 countries in one country.
Gentlemen, we need to take a break, and I want to come back and talk more about your company and how people can take advantage of the services that you have.
You're listening to the award-winning Travel Planners Radio Show with Kevin and Sue McCarthy.
Welcome back to the Chicago Travel and Adventure Showcase. With us still is Nir and Guy of Puzzle Israel. Last year we met Deb, and I think she's now a partner with Puzzle Israel. Let's talk more about your company and what you do. She'd explained that they were trying to get groups of American chefs, perhaps, to visit Israel under your tutelage or guidance and to learn more about the Israeli cuisine. Is it just for chefs, or is it open to the public? Can my neighbor and I take advantage of your program?
It will take me to the beginning of Puzzle, which was about 5 years ago, when we started as a group of friends to think, how can we bring people to see the real Israel? And a lot of people use, and a lot of companies use, the off the beaten track and take you to the real places of Israel. To do that, you need the flexibility of young people showing you where they travel to and how they travel. Israelis all around the world, anywhere on any mountain, you'll find an Israeli. And why is that? It's because we live in an island surrounded by enemies, and it makes it interesting to come to that country. But when we want a vacation, we have to run away. We finished the army 3 years, as everyone knows, and go travel. I traveled for 12 months in 6 different countries. Now, I found that it's interesting to travel with locals. When I traveled and did my travels, that's how I traveled. I used Couchsurfing or friends on Facebook, and they hosted me. Now, how can you do that in Israel, where you want to stay in a 5-star hotel? That's exactly Puzzle Israel. It's finding what you want to see and how you want to see it, but showing and giving that twist of that local's perspective, and you have a group of people taking you around the country. Now, yes, any chef is invited, and we try to combine leaders in any community that have a following to bring their people to Israel. Israel need help, and it's hard to sell it to someone that Israel is not on his bucket list, because maybe he's not Jewish or not a pilgrimage Christian, but he has other things in mind, like biking, yoga, food, photography. And today with Puzzle Israel, you can actually do that. We have theme trips for people looking to maybe travel around the cuisine and do it in Israel, maybe bike through the country, and using what Israel is best. And because it's a small country, you can accomplish so much in a very short time. A 10 to 12 day trip will get you seeing the whole country.
Both of you, chefs Nir and Guy, if you come to St. Louis, we will definitely introduce you to a lot of the restaurants and the chefs there and give you a little bit of our culture that we have. I wanted to talk about yesterday because we went to the show over at the Taste of Travel Theater, and I have a picture here of a dish that you made. Would you explain what's in that, please? It was just so fresh.
Yes, of course, and we will share with you the recipes if you wish to maybe post them to your audience. We made a tabbouleh salad, which is a very traditional Arabic salad that came to Israel from the Lebanon border into Israel from people coming and crossing the border. Tabbouleh salad is a lot of fresh vegetables based on bulgur. What we did and what we twisted out, especially with the American clients, is changing and taking out that bulgur and adding some fresh ground cauliflower to make it gluten-free. It gives it a fresh taste. It's very light, and please try it at home and let us know. The roll that you see on that dish is a roll of grilled eggplant, very healthy, not too much oil, then filled up with meat, ground beef and lamb, and dates for that sweetness. A little of time to have some Mediterranean flavor to that, and you have a great dish. Cover it with some tahini, and you're good to go.
And it's all healthy.
Chef Guy, are you cooking today?
Today we're not, because we are flying out at 2 o'clock.
Do you have a restaurant, the two of you in Israel, that you work out of?
We have a catering that 7 years ago was mostly served weddings in Israel and big celebrations. And the last 4 years, most of the work we do is for travelers that come to travel with us and having a portable kitchen that driving on the back and open kitchens whenever they want.
Sounds like fun. Nir, you mentioned in our first segment that some people hesitate to come to Israel, and you made the statement we're an island surrounded by enemies. I understand that, but it's not as bad as what that sounds. I have never felt safer when I was in Tel Aviv walking down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning than anywhere else in the world. I mean, we're from St. Louis. People get shot there every day. Literally. But it's the same kind of thing. That's a part of town that if you don't belong in, don't go there. And that's like that in any place in the world. Really, you're quite safe visiting Israel. Whether you're Jewish or Christian or Pentecostal or whatever faith you prefer, there is an amazing amount of history to see and touch and be there. At the same time, if you like nightlife, there's probably none better than Tel Aviv. I would encourage everyone to visit Israel. It's a very safe country.
Yes, it is a very safe country. As you know, I think they mentioned now that we have about 8.5 million people living in Israel and another 3.5 people visiting every year for the last 10 years. And that number doesn't really change with everything that is going on. And you can maybe find on the news. That makes it about 12 million people coming to Israel every year, living there, going back home and feeling safe. And every client we had brought another client, because word to mouth, as we all know, you go to a country, then you understand it, you come back and you say, I felt safer there than I feel anywhere else, because Israel as a country is ready for everything. You have to be ready for everything, and Israelis are very open to help you out. So if something happens, you have a community and people are helping each other.
You can feel, if you walk into a McDonald's, sure, they've got every fast food restaurant we do, and some that are quite better, I might add. But, okay, here's a group of basically teenagers that are in the military, and they may have their rifle with them or whatever, but there's a joie de vivre, if you will, of life. Israelis live life. It's fun.
Yes, exactly. We live life, and it's fun, and we wake up every morning, and in Israel, it's a small country. To get somewhere, you have a job. The job is to be an Israeli, and then you find your job.
I like that.
And and yes, and you build your life, and you travel the world, and you bring something from that world back to Israel.
I wish we could convince some of our youth in America that their job is to be an American. That would be a blessing in any religion.
If you're in the St. Louis area, February 28th, they're going to be showing at the IMEX Theater, Jerusalem. So contact us if you want information on it. kevinandsuetravel@yahoo.com.
If our listeners want to take advantage of your service, do you have a website they can go to find out more? Also, how would they get in touch, etc.?
The best thing about Puzzle this year is we opened our official Chicago office with an American number, which you can find on our website, puzzleisrael.com, page where you can find videos and see our kind of Israel with at least 10 videos of different kind of trips. And of course, Facebook, Instagram, anything. We are very out there, taking Israel, first of all, to the world, bringing a different culture and spicing up your trips to Israel with good spices from the market or from a farm next door.
A market is something, no matter whom you travel with, that you have to see when you visit Israel. The world comes alive in a fresh food market there. Wow. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in Passover. Our feast is waiting. We have another seat.
That's hard to turn down. As they say, we'll meet again in Israel.
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you very much for having us.
A couple of very nice young men that are presenting their portion of the world to the world.
And as they say, easy on the eyes, too, girls.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Again, don't hesitate to go to Israel. My goodness, I mean, the historical sites, the food, the joie de vivre, for lack of a better term, you just can't find that anywhere else.
No, and we keep going back because there's so much more to see. We can't cover it the whole time that we're there just for one time.
One of the largest
we're going on
bird
number 3.
migrations and everything else. I mean, there's something for everyone in Israel. Don't go away. A little bit more of the Travel Planners Show still to come this week. I'm Kevin.
I'm Sue McCarthy.
You are listening to the Travel Planners Radio Show, coming to you live on the Gab Radio Network.